there was a fire in the strip mall and our business burned right to the ground. We lost everything. We were underinsured. We reopened 2 years later in this existing strip mall that we're in right now.
Why not just hang it up and say, I'm going to go flip burgers?
That's what everybody asks. Aren't you ready to just work in the mine or do something else? And I said, no, I'm not. So we just bought some used equipment and started over.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Total Michigan, where we interview ordinary Michiganders doing some pretty extraordinary things. I'm your host, Cliff Divinois. So when you make a trip up to the Upper Peninsula, you cross the bridge, the one thing that you are going to get hammered with constantly as you're driving around is these signs for pasties. They are everywhere. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to come to kind of like the middle of the Upper Peninsula, so to speak, and find someplace that has been doing it for a long time, doing it extremely well, loved by not only tourists in the area, but as well as the locals. And when I went to Marquette, I found Lawry's Pasties. They're well rated online. Everybody loves them. And I thought, you know what? These would be the perfect people to come on and talk to us about this UP delicacy. So with that being said, I would like to introduce you to Pete and Addy Lawry. Pete, how are you?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Addy, how are you?
Fantastic.
So if you would just tell us really quick, what is Lawry's Pasties?
Okay, we are Addy's the fourth generation pasty makers. We started in 1946, the original shop west of Ishpeming, and we have been in Marquette since 1992. We still make the original pasty, the original way that my grandmother made it back in the 1940s.
Nice. So if you would talk to us about, why did they start the pasty shop? Why even go in that route in the first place? What made them open up their doors?
So my grandparents had moved to Lansing and they wanted to get back to the Upper Peninsula. And so in 1946, after the war, they came back. And my grandmother was a wonderful cook. They opened a little cafe next to the Blueberry Mine out west of Ishpeming in Ely Township. And she made packed pails for the miners when they went down into the mine. And she specialized in pasties once a week. And everybody loved her pasties. So eventually it just became pasties. That's all they did.
So why don't you talk to us about what is a pasty?
So it is beef and potatoes and onions and rutabaga, our recipe, which is the original Cornish version of a pasty. It's wrapped in a crust. It's similar to a pot pie, but it's dry inside. There's no gravy. I don't mean to say dry. It just doesn't have gravy in it.
Right.
So it's more like a sandwich than a pot pie. But it's served hot, and it's wrapped in a crust, and we make them by hand still after all these years.
Because that's a thing that I just learned today, is that there's the Finnish version and then there's the Cornish version. So yours is Cornish.
The Cornish version, and they originated in Cornwall. But
now, am I going to get some emails from some Finnish people?
Possibly. There are some Finnish people. There are a lot of Finnish people in this area that work in the mines as well, and they mainly put carrots in their version, I would say.
That's the biggest difference, where the Cornish use rutabaga and the Finnish use carrots. Up here, at least.
Okay. All right. So then your grandma opens the business, and at some point in time, it's passed down to your parents.
Yes. In the 50s, my father opened it, came back from serving, and he was in England in the Air Force. And when he came home, he reopened the shop in Ishpeming, and then met and married my mother, and they ran it together until, they ended up getting divorced in the 70s, and my mother kind of took over it, and we all worked since I was in third grade when I started working in the business.
Child labor is cheap labor.
Yep.
And Addie too, along with her three brothers.
I don't know if there's a better way to grow up than in a pasty shop.
They came to work with me every Saturday and whenever because I worked all the time back then. So
Right. Now, so you grew up in the business.
I did.
Why did you decide to kind of step in and take over the family business versus, I dream about these things. They chase me in my dreams. I want out. I want to, go, save the whales or something like that.
No,
Why?
I always wanted to stay in the business from the time I was a little kid.
What is it about the business that attracts you to it?
It's just a way of life for me. It's just what I've known all my life. Um, it's all I've ever done. And I
There's a
really like.
pride that comes with too, being able to take over something that's the fourth generation and continuing on the family legacy. And I don't know, there's something special about being surrounded by family and continuing on the
Being able to
legacy.
work with people you love.
Yeah.
Yes. Because now you're fourth generation Addy, right?
Yep.
You're primed to take over the business too.
Yep.
Was there any ever thought in your brain at some point you're thinking to yourself, man, I am out of here as soon as I turn 18. I'm not
Yeah.
making
Not really.
No?
No, we were, I had a couple other jobs. I worked at a school for a little bit but we both knew, I think, the last straw. He just looked at me and said, "Okay, you coming back now? It's time." I said,
It's actually only been a few years since she's been
about
back.
5 years, so that I came and officially came back and started taking things over.
Right. That's great. And in doing this, I guess I got to ask the question. I'll ask this to you first, Pete, is because your parents ran it for a while and
Yes.
then you were taking over the business. And what was some of the hardest maybe things that you learned or something that really surprised you when you took over the family business?
Well, for one thing, I wasn't trained. I didn't really know what I was doing when I took over I thought I did, but I was a young kid in my 20s. So you just kind of jump in and kind of do things as it's always been done without really knowing what comes with growth, I moved to Marquette. The original business is still open in Ishburn. My brother runs it. But I ran into some hurdles as a young kid that I wasn't really aware of. I thought I knew more than I did.
Right.
The business end of it. I just wanted to make pasties because I knew people liked them
Right.
and I did a good job with it. But when it came to expanding and the business side of it, there was a lot to learn that I didn't know.
Like the whole cash flow management,
Yes.
marketing, all that other good stuff.
Employees, raising prices, keeping up with costs, inflation, all those things.
Right. And what about you, Addy, when you started taking over the business? What are some of the things that maybe surprised you?
I didn't have the hardships I don't think my dad had because, I don't know, he's wonderful. And I think we
There
work
you
really
go.
we work really well as a team. And if there's ever anything, we troubleshoot really well together, I think.
Oh,
And
perfect.
I don't know, I couldn't imagine a better role model to learn to take things over than him.
Certainly. And it's got to be good too, because with you both being co-owners, so to speak, that a lot of the problems you are discussing, it's not like you're treating it like a parent-child relationship where you have to protect the child. It's we're in this together, so let's collaborate.
Yeah. It's his retirement and my future. So, we both have a stake.
There you go. There you go. Awesome. Love that. So as the business is ticking along, right? And you've got your location, you've got it built. During the 1990s, you had a pretty big problem happen with your business.
Yeah, we had been open for about 4 years and there was a fire in the strip mall and our business burned right to the ground.
And you lost everything?
We lost everything. We were underinsured. We were just starting out. We were in our 20s. We had 3, I think, out of 4 kids at that time. And my wife, who is a nurse, was working in the business with me at the time. So we really lost everything and started over from scratch. We reopened 2 years later in this existing strip mall that we're in right now. After they rebuilt, we started over.
So the question that I got for you then is, with everything burning to the ground, like you come over here and it's just nothing but ash, right? first off, you've just got to be crushed.
Yeah, it was pretty devastating.
And then to make the decision that we're going to try this again, why not just hang it up and say, I'm going to go flip burgers
That's
at a
what
fast food
everybody
joint?
asks. Aren't you ready to just work in the mine or do something else? And I said, no, I'm not. So we just bought some used equipment and started over. And my mother had the fish farming shop still at that point. So I would go up there and cut meat and grind meat and use some of her equipment that I couldn't afford to buy. So after hours, I would close the shop, go up there, do my prep work, come back in the morning. My wife would come in and bake in the mornings and get started. She would take kids with her and the ones that weren't in school. And then I would get the other ones off to school and meet her here and we would switch. But it's a way of life. And I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
That's actually quite clever and resourceful that you were using the equipment from your mom's shop.
Yeah, it's the only way I could really stay in business because I couldn't afford to buy all new equipment. I bought ovens, I bought some used coolers to get started, but we really didn't have much.
Right. And then as you're going through this, so this location had burned to the ground, but you actually opened up in another location for a short while, right?
We had another little shop out in Harvey, which is about 15 miles from here. Not quite, 10 miles maybe. But it never really took off. It was a bad location. So we wanted to get back here. So that's where we took that used equipment that we had there and moved back into this space.
And by that time, they had rebuilt this little strip
They had
mall
rebuilt,
place.
yeah.
Yes.
So
Because I got to tell you, this place is really nice.
it is. It's a great location. We've been here for since 1998 now. So it's back in this spot.
And then from there, it's just a matter of just keeping your customers' doors open.
Doing the same thing consistently over all the years. We haven't changed a thing. Our recipe's the same. The way we make our pasties is the same. We've got some new equipment, but we still make everything by hand.
So when you talked before about focusing on making a great pasty, tell me, what does that like include? And I ask you that because you've been here for decades. You've got people, obviously, I mean, you're going to have tourists that come here. Yes, they're going to see your sign. They're going to want to stop in. But I would bet you dollars to donuts that probably a bulk of your customers are also locals.
Yes.
And they have very discerning palates when it comes to pasties. What goes into making a good pasty?
I think the biggest thing is keeping like the same vendors and having good employees and like making sure our potatoes are all sourced pretty much locally. All of our meat, everything we try and get the same as we have, and keeping that quality up is huge. Still using lard in the crust, which a lot of people for a long time were really hard on the lard. But it's starting to come back around, having everything, we don't put any preservatives in. It's something that you can make in your kitchen just as easily as we can make in our kitchen. Shouldn't say easy. It's a pretty complicated process. There's a lot of peeling. There's a lot that goes into it. But yeah, just making sure that
Consistency, quality, freshness.
Because a large portion of your menu, I mean, I do see you've got some that are a little bit off, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But basically, like you said, your recipe is the same as your grandmother started back in the day. You haven't tinkered with it. It's not like I'm coming in here and, we have a Korean fusion pasty or a Mexican fusion pasty. It is, man, this is the pasty. This is it. This is the UP.
Yes. It's the exact same recipe. As Addy mentioned, we do have several employees now. And so in the kitchen in the morning, there can be 6 or 7 people sometimes. And it's making sure that the seasoning is just right, not too much, not too little. We just had that issue where you kind of go back over. Addie runs the kitchen and she makes sure everything is mixed by hand, which can be tricky. We make batches of 50 of the classic size in one batch of pasties. So making sure it's mixed properly and seasoned properly for every batch, because we make up to 20, 25 batches of those some days. So it gets tricky to make sure that everyone is going to be the same.
Sure. For our audience, we're going to take a quick break and thank our sponsors. When we come back, we're going to talk a lot more about pasties and what you can expect when you come to Lawry's Pasties. We'll see you after the break.
Hey, if you are enjoying these great interviews, just take a moment and go to totalmichigan.com/join, and you can get these episodes sent directly to your inbox because there's a lot more great stories coming. See you there.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Total Michigan, where we interview ordinary Michiganders doing some pretty extraordinary things. I'm your host, Cliff Duvinois. Today, we're at Lawry's Pasties, and I'm talking with Pete and Addy Lawry. And Pete, Addy, before the break, we were talking about what makes for a really good pasty. My question to you now is, as your business is growing and, you're getting your foot traffic that's starting to come back in, you've rebuilt from, the fire, you've got this nice, super nice location. So my question to you is, at some point in time, you got the idea to start shipping these.
Yes.
How did that idea come about?
People begging.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, the big thing is we are the UP. Everybody who's ever been to the UP in January knows it's cold. There's lots of snow, which is wonderful if you like snow. But our big season is June, July, August, September. People love to come to the UP in the summer, not as much in the winter. So we're very busy all summer long, and our business drops in half in January and February and March. So we needed something to really bring in business those months when people that might love our product, they come in the summer, but they're missing it all winter long. So now they can buy online and we send them all winter long. The snowbirds that go to Florida or Texas, California, we ship all over.
So then I got to imagine that's a great way for you to be able to create another revenue stream for your business.
Right.
To make sure you've got more money coming in throughout the year versus just hoping somebody stops by.
Right.
Especially if there's a 6-foot snowbank out there.
Exactly. You have a snow day where you're getting 3 or 4 feet of snow in one day. You don't get a lot of foot traffic.
Right.
So this way, we still are busy all winter long. From Christmas right through, tourists that come in the summertime will buy Christmas gifts for their families that came on vacation as a remembrance of the good old UP and Marquette. It's such a wonderful place, and it's a good way to remember their vacations and coming here.
Addie was telling me before the microphones went hot that there's actually people from the UP that have moved.
Yeah.
And actually appreciate the fact that you guys ship.
I feel like a good portion of our shipping customers are local Ubers who ended up moving away and just miss that. We do a lot of like 80th birthdays. We ship out, that kind of thing. Like people who grew up here, moved away, and just still love the pasties. And like my dad was saying, it's a good remembrance of your childhood and those days and that good comfort food, the good wholesome, meat and potatoes.
Slice of home.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely.
And then, so when you have this idea and your customers are practically begging for it, yes, I will pay for you to ship them to me. Talk to us about that process of figuring out how to make that work. I mean, do you just throw a bunch of them in a cardboard box, send them on their way? Do you put like a plastic sheet over top of them that protects them and keeps them separate? Is it like an egg carton? How does that work?
We have it down pat right now. We buy shipping coolers that are boxed. So it's in a styrofoam cooler in a box. We use dry ice on the top.
Whoa.
So we have different size coolers to fit different. We do an 8-pack, a 12-pack, or a 24-pack. So we have the 3 coolers that correspond with the size. We hand cut the dry ice, put a slice depending on how far it's going to go, so it'll last 2 to 3 to even 4 days in the mail without thawing out. We've got it pretty down pat.
Now, how did you come up with the idea to be able to, to do this? Was it trial and error? Did you jump on YouTube and watch some videos of somebody else
A
doing
lot
it?
of trial and error in the beginning, trying to figure it out, especially with the website. We just started with people that would ask. Like Addy said, people would call all the time and say, "Can you send us some?"
Right.
And we did start in cardboard boxes a few times, and we would next day air them in a cardboard box, and they'd usually be thawed out by the time they got there, and it wasn't very successful. Now you feel bad if people spend all that money and it doesn't work.
Right.
So we had to figure out ways to make sure it would work and be successful, and it is.
Did you ever wind up shipping anything to yourself just to see what it would look like when it arrived?
Yeah, we have done that. We've shipped to relatives, friends that live away. We'll take a box and put it in the office where it's going to be warm all the time and see how long it'll last. We've done lots of experiments like that to make sure. And there is an occasional box that will get lost and we will have to reship, but usually UPS does a great job. We don't lose many packages. We
Probably
only
a driver snacking somewhere right now. Yeah, keep ordering them. Keep ordering them.
So yeah, it's been a good way to increase our business in the wintertime. And we do ship all year round, but our main shipping time is December, January, February.
So talk to us then about, because of the ones that you've got on the menu, talk to us about maybe some of the favorites that locals come at us for.
There's one pasty. I mean, a lot of pasty places especially try and push all the different flavors. People come in all the time asking for a chicken pasty. Well, in our mind, that's a chicken pot pie. That's not a pasty. A pasty is beef, potato, rutabaga, and onion, and that's it.
Yeah.
And throughout the years, we're trying to cater to other like vegetarian. We do have a vegetarian pasty. I'm hesitant to call it a pasty, but we do have a vegetarian version. We have a breakfast version, and then we have the different sizes of our classic beef.
You guys have vegetarians in EUP?
Not
We
many.
do. We
but
do.
we do. I shouldn't say not many. I have actually quite a few friends who are vegetarians, so.
And, with that being said, if somebody were to come here, right, they've never been here before, what is that experience for them looking like? Or maybe, what are some things that they should be thinking about when they come in here? What are their expectations? Talk to us about that whole.
There's a lot of people who come in not knowing how to eat a pasty. I know that that's kind of funny, but traditionally it's a handheld meat pie. You just eat it like a hamburger right out of the bag is the best way to do it. There's a lot of controversy over what to put on a pasty. Like that's the biggest thing.
Gravy or ketchup?
Gravy or ketchup or nothing. If you have a good one, generally you don't need anything. That's the purest technique. But yeah, my favorite way, right out of the bag with a squirt of ketchup on each bite,
Mm-hmm.
And everyone has their own unique way of eating a pasty.
Right.
Some people put chow chow relish. It doesn't, barbecue sauce, ranch, nothing.
Best way to eat a pasty. I do this still at least once a week. First one's out of the oven in the morning, 9 o'clock-ish. Grab it, put it on my desk, cut it in half, let it sit for about 20 minutes. Each half, as it's cooled but still fresh, no ketchup, no gravy. Just chow it right down and it's delicious.
See, I feel a little bit deceived because when I ordered lunch, you put a fork on my plate.
I did.
And I stabbed that the whole time I was eating. And I was like, man, this thing is hot. How are you?
We'll get you one to take home too, because that's good. Just room temperature, let it sit for a couple hours and eat it right out of the bag on your way home.
That's yes, because I love that idea because I was so hungry when I showed up at the shop today. I was like, I just could not wait. But that would have been the thing to do. Now I got to know, you got to eat them by hand.
Yeah.
It's a hand delicacy.
Yes.
And, okay. And then with that being said, because I know you have others on your menu as well think you got an Italian one up there. You got an Italian. You got
No,
hammy.
those are sandwiches.
Yeah.
Oh,
Those are not pasties.
okay. So that was my bad.
So we have a small line of oven baked sandwiches that we have. We have a lot of big families that come in, and a lot of them will claim, there's one or two of the children that say, "Oh, I don't want to eat I don't like pasties or blah blah blah." So we have a few other things that are on our menu besides just pasties to kind of cater to that. And we make really good sandwiches. Addie makes the bread every morning by hand.
Yeah.
So
Really?
yeah.
Yeah.
You make
Every
the
day.
crust by hand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything
the
in
bread
here
by
is
hand?
made by hand. All of our meat's cut by hand. We do. Speaking of sandwiches, we have a kudigi, which is very native to the UP. Pasties, came from England. A lot of people know what a pasty is, but kudigi is kind of a UP staple brought over by the Italians. So we make a homemade kudigi patty here. It's ground pork and a lot of different spices. That's, ours is massive. It's not one of the things that you can just eat and go on with your day. It's like you can eat a sliver of it, but if you're eating the whole thing, you better expect to take a nap because
Like a food coma.
Yep.
And what was that again? A kudigi?
Kudigi. Yep.
I've never heard of such a thing.
Yeah, it's gaining a little bit more popularity, but it is pretty strictly a UP food. Yeah, like I said, it's pork seasonings, and then it's kind of shaped out into a patty,
Okay.
almost like a hamburger patty, but elongated, and then you serve it on our homemade bread with sauce, cheese, and onion.
Oh, there we go. Is it like an
Mhm.
open face sandwich?
Close sandwich, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Learn something new every day. Have to try one of those too. And if somebody is listening to this and they want to come by and check out what it is that you guys have, they want to check your place out, they want to try one of your delicacies, what's the best way for them to connect you? Where can they find you?
We are online at lawryspasties.com, LAWRYSPASTIES.com. And you can find us there if you want to order mail order. If you want to drive up to our shop, we're in Marquette, in the middle of Marquette, basically, right on US 41. It's hard to miss. It's 2164 US Highway 41 in Marquette, but we're right on the main drag as you're coming through town. We'd love to have you stop in and try our pasties.
Awesome. And if they do order online, typically how long does it take for a turnaround of that?
We try to only ship on Mondays or Tuesdays to make sure they have the week to get there, so they're not sitting over a weekend.
Oh, okay.
So, but you can order for a delivery time just about any time later in the week. But yeah, we ship every Monday. So
Right.
if you order by Monday, we'll get them out that Monday.
Perfect.
Yep.
Awesome. Pete, Addy, thank you so much for taking time to be on the show today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you
thanks
for
so
coming.
much for coming down.
And for our audience, you can always roll on over to totalmichigan.com and click on Pete and Addy's interview and get the links that they have mentioned above. We'll see you next time when we talk to another Michigander doing some pretty extraordinary things. We'll see you then.